All right, so we have a pretty nice day today. It's not going to be the big day of this next week, but it's a nice monumental day. So today we finally hit six figures and stayed above it. We're working this for a long time, and if you guys remember, kind of in the salad days, so to speak, we were sitting there somewhere around 54, 55,000 for the longest time. And then guess what happens? A vaccine hits and takes us upward. Just remember, the Fed is meeting. Today's the 8th, I think. The Fed's meeting on the 10th to discuss the Pfizer vaccine. They should have an answer that day, Friday or Monday. That's going to be payday, guys. So you have a couple days to get your to get everything in to where you want that to go. Overall, currently we are at 202%. Right here, which is a beautiful thing. We've basically tripled our investment. So we're going to talk about some news today. We'll talk about some stocks that moved today, and then we'll get into where we are and where we see things going. So first of all, Elon Musk moves to Texas. So it's a sign that you're going to see things just, you're going to see, one, they're going to pay a lot fewer taxes because they're not going to pay state taxes in Texas where they do in California. It's just an interesting thing. He opened up another factory in Texas, which tells you about the demand for their cars. Now they're going to have two Tesla factories kicking out Teslas. So kind of kicking myself. The stock's basically octupled this year, so it's gone up 8 times. I'm not ready to buy it yet just because I think it's baked in. But I do think if I were just a standard long-term 10-year investor, I would be definitely buying some Tesla stock. All right, so that being said, I was looking at an article here. Where is this guy? This guy is right. I was looking at this, and we'll get into futures later. 2021 could be a tougher year for stocks. And this guy, remember I say be fearful when people are greedy and be greedy when people are fearful. Well, this guy is the epitome of it. This guy is a little soy boy guy over here. Probably lives in New York, doesn't know anything better. Anyway, I read what he's writing here, and there's nothing firm in here. There's no meat to really chew on. It's all just a bunch of worry. So, boom, boom, boom. So he starts us off by saying, hopefully they'll get more help from the Fed, more help for relief for COVID-19 vaccines administered, and return to some kind of normal. And it's like that's where he started his article, and then he went into fear porn. But he says there's no guarantees it'll play out. Stocks have gone so much this year. It's good news. They might be priced in and then some. No. If we take a stock, let's just take a stock, for example, we'll put GE. I mean, probably one of the most traditional stocks ever. And we look at them for the year. They basically were sitting here at $13 a share, and they're now sitting at 10. So we're not even back to where they were before. So we can tell, just pick a stock, and you could probably see the same thing happen to most stocks. So we know that's not the case. So it could be harder for stocks to keep climbing. So your error number one right there. He says the S&P 500 is up 15% this year, while the NASDAQ has soared an astonishing 40%. Well, the NASDAQ's gone up because they're all tech stocks. People are at home and they're forced to use their tech stocks. That trajectory may not continue. Come on. You don't even know what you're writing. This is literally just a clickbait article. And yes, you got me. But let's look at this in a little bit more detail. The market's priced in a recovery to some extent, and there's a new peak in earnings. Whenever you heard peak in earnings, peak oil, peak population, peak anything, the person doesn't know what they're talking about. If the world doesn't, this is like fear porn again. If the world doesn't return to normal, investors will be disappointed. First of all, you're supposed to put a comma there. Okay. Not getting too picky, but you're supposed to be a comma there. Otherwise, it's normal investors. Investors will be disappointed. Oh my gosh. Are all the good news for next year already priced in? Should be is right here, but let's not get into that. Expectations for a profit are now sky high. They're tracking a 15% increase in YOY earnings and for the first quarter, 45% jump for the second quarter, and 20% rise for 21. These projections might be unrealistically bullish, but if you've studied statistics, you understand that from second quarter to second quarter was like the worst second quarter ever to next year. You'll probably go over 45% for that. And the same thing for 2021. You had a massive pandemic and it artificially pushed down everything. Of course, you're going to get a huge rise. Everybody's talking about it. So you don't really understand statistics if you're looking at those numbers and you're questioning them. And you have one guy who is feeding his fear porn, told CNN Business that his earnings forecast for 2021 are 11% below Wall Street's consensus estimates. Well, remember we covered a couple days ago, we talked about somebody that shorted Tesla stock and he had more losses than the entire airline industry did this year. So you can't always listen to people when they do stupid crap. This guy, stupid crap guy, is concerned that investors might be underestimating the possibility that Congress and the new administration may disagree on the size of future stimulus relief. Well, if the Repubs keep the Senate, well, nothing's getting passed. Gridlock could make it even more crucial for the Fed to continue backstopping the economy and market. First of all, that just means they're going to print money, but there's not going to be much of an appetite after this year, next year, to print a whole lot of money. It's not in the interest of the Fed to keep being the first responder. And because the danger is they are the only responder if dysfunctional fiscal policy continues. Well, what is this written 10 years ago? What do you think they've been doing the last 10 years? They're the only responder right now. You have a pandemic comes in, there's a million tools they could use, and they go to the Fed. So anyway, this article keeps going down and down and down. It's fear porn. There's nothing in it. And everybody, pretty much, except for this guy and that Bannister guy, is pricing in, where is this? A 22% rise from 2020. And I still think it's going to be a lot higher. All right. Bill Gates says 6 COVID-19 vaccines are likely to get regulatory approval by Q1. I wanted to show this to you mainly because we have one in the hopper for Thursday, one in the hopper for next Thursday, and we have 4 that are behind it. So there's going to be plenty of vaccines. This pandemic is on its way out. So you need to get your stock portfolio set. McConnell backs off demand for liability protection and COVID stimulus protections. This is basically tort reform, basically stating that if a business comes open, that they'll be affirmatively immune if somebody comes in and says, you got me sick with COVID. So it's kind of too bad because this would actually be a really good thing to put in the bill. But they're just trying to hammer out a bill to get something down. As if you've listened to the last few videos that I've done, you understand that the bill coming out right now is a skinny bill, and there's nothing new in it. There's nothing for individuals. It's just a little bit of continuation of what they did before, and it's honestly a waste. I'm very, very disappointed in that bill. 5 things to know before the stock market opens Monday. Kind of an interesting article. They said Dow set to drop after a day of records not seen in 3 years. I think this is a mistake because you have a vaccine approval coming. So you can't necessarily look at this year as an example of what the last 3 years is going to be. So, all right. GOP senator says McConnell expected to back stimulus bill, but that's fine. They still got to get past it. They still got to work with the Democrats on that. So that's kind of a meaningless thing right there. CDC urges mask wearing as more Californians under lockdown, which is really stupid. This doesn't even play into the market, but like masks scientifically have been shown to actually increase COVID. So what happens when you put a mask mandate in? You see this. So there's a lot of dumb things going on. I'm not going to go into the science of it, but I've read the CDC studies, and they say that masks actually increase the COVID increase. And if you don't believe me, go look for Surgeon General Powell. I forget what his first name is. And he basically said the same thing in mid-March. And I thought he was wrong, but it turns out I read the CDC pandemic manual, and he's actually correct. Biden to pick Javier Becerra to lead HHS. It doesn't affect the market. I will just tell you, this guy is one of the lead scumbags. If I will tell you that Kamala Harris is probably one of the worst scumbags ever. Oh, he's like your little brother. He's terrible. He's a total hack job, and I hope he doesn't get that position. And the UK to administer Pfizer's COVID vaccine to the public Tuesday. They did some initial tests or initial injections today just for publicity reasons, but that's the Pfizer vaccine. That's the one that needs the super freezer, but it's starting in England. So you'll probably see the FTSE jump up next week. But One thing you got to remember, a bunch of these don't really affect the market too much. We do have that vaccine that's going to be getting approval at the end of this week or early next week. All right, this is interesting. Stock buybacks have fallen off a cliff. Why they're set to make a comeback. Basically what this is in a normal year, you have stock buyback. So let's say you have 100 million shares of stock and the company is at $100 a share and the company has a whole bunch of money and it's sitting around doing nothing. Well, the investors hate that. They want their money being used to make a profit, and if the stocks have a dividend, then they want them to pay a higher dividend. If they don't have a dividend and there's a whole bunch of money sitting around in a checking account, they want them to pay a dividend. So what the CEOs do, which kills two birds with one stone, is they use that money to buy back their own stock. So they literally just buy, if you're GE, they use GE money to buy GE stock. And what happens is it increases the stock price of the actual stock, and at the same time, it limits the cash flow. And so it makes the CEOs money because their stock price goes up. All the investors are happy. But at the same time, it's like you could be using that instead of buying back stock. You could be using that to increase capacity, build another factory, do something where you're increasing more sales. So it's basically cosmetic price manipulation. But in 2020, they banned any company that was getting federal aid from doing stock buybacks, especially if they took money from the CARES Act and other similar acts. And so in this article, they said the stock buybacks have fallen off a cliff because a lot of the big companies, airlines, people like that, didn't do that anymore. Why? They're set to make a comeback. Well, there's two reasons they're going to make a comeback. One is the pandemic's ending, and two is there might be a new administration in, and Biden is the biggest Wall Street shill in the world, so he's going to get rid of buyback prohibitions in a heartbeat. So the reason that's important is if you have a company that they do have a bunch of free money and they're more willing to do a buyback, all it means is your stock price is going to go up. So this is good news for the economy in the future. So let's take a look at some stocks today. Blink Charging, again, we saw them a long time ago as a nice little opportunity. We bought them at $23.84, which was right around here. And we've had a nice little increase of 22% since we bought them. So if you look in the last week, just a steady going up, which really doesn't surprise us. And today they went up 8-9% basically. All right, Ashford Hospitality Trust, that's the one we bought as their stock went down. They went up 15% today, so that's a nice little thing. They're up 24% as a whole, and they're definitely moving in the right direction. Elis Gaming, or Ellie's Gaming, or I don't know how to pronounce it, went down 7% today. So overall for the month, I could have got them at 140, but didn't. And they're sitting at 315. So if it goes down to like 2 or 250 or something, I'll look at them again. But this is just some profit taking on their part. DraftKings, I still think this is going to be awesome. This is a great stock to have, especially with more mobile technology and sports getting back in. NBA's getting back into their season pretty soon. Baseball is going to be around the corner. They're up 6%, and I think this is just a free money stock. So if you haven't bought them, I recommend it. Norwegian Cruise Line's up 6% again. Next year is going to be a banner year for cruising, so expect to see this one explode. I'm really excited about this one, although we own Carnival. It's basically the same stock. I'll talk about cinemas for a minute. So Benchmark says cinema will benefit from vaccines. Well, duh. What do you think? They must have been watching my videos. Shares up 8% as AMC rises 11%. So they've been saying what we've been saying. Is when vaccines come in, people are going to want to go to movies, and there's a slew of blockbuster movies out there that haven't been released. So, I mean, the quality of movies that are going to be released in 2021 is going to be absolutely insane. So we look at AMC. They're up 12% today, down 1%. Call it 11%, including after hours. Cinemark is up 9% today. Reading is up 5% today. All right. Target Hospitality, they do they do basically lodging and food service hospitality for the oil fields in Texas. They're up 11% today. And Soho, my favorite little stock that I always wanted. I don't know why. They're up 6% today, but everything in this sector is moving in the right direction. All right, so taking a look at tomorrow. Taking a look tomorrow. Things are a little bit in the green, super early. We won't be able to tell until later. And COVID's the same thing. Everybody here is like 900 years old and really unhealthy. So get your stocks in early. Again, we have the FDA meeting on Thursday and expect to have an answer Friday or Monday. But you need to get your stocks in before then if you're going to make the kind of money you're looking for. So with that being said, we will see you mañana. To get more information on the sales cheat code, go ahead and click on the subscribe button below. Also, down below in the video description, down there, there's a link that takes you to our website that gives you additional content, some additional freebies that we have, and gives you information on some programs that we have that have been proven to help people to make sales easy so that you can make the kind of money you want, live the lifestyle that you've always wanted, and not have to struggle in the process. And what might be the coolest thing of all is you don't have to put much effort into it. It truly is a cheat code that most people don't know about. And it's a cheat code that can change your life today. So click on the link below and let me help you start to experience these results starting right now.